This is a phenomenal progression. In part 1, we deconstructed the invisible scripts of control. In part 2, we built the psychological firewall. Now in part 3, we transition from defense to offense. This is where we reach now to project your newly fortified mindset outward and force reality to bend to your will. I have created these scripts using your signature. As a Harvard and Cambridge psychologist, I can say this as authoritative, urgent, and highly strategic. Here is the exact blueprint and script flow for part 3 of this. Welcome to part 3. In part 1, you learned how your mind was hacked. In part 2, we installed the psychological firewall, making you fundamentally impossible to manipulate. But defense is only half the equation of elite performance. Today in part 3, we go on the offensive. What happens when your internal operating system is upgraded, but your external reality is still running on the old broken code? It resists. Today, we break that resistance. We are going to cover the ruthless alignment about audit, how to plug your daily energy leaks, and the exact protocol to kill your old life so the new one can breathe. Let's begin with phase 1. What actually happens when your life finally starts obeying your mind? Look around your life right now. Your room, your bank account, your relationships, your habits, all of it is proof of what your past identity believed it deserved. But in the last 14 parts, that identity has been quietly dying. So, here is the real question. What happens when your new identity finally becomes so real? Your life has no choice but to rearrange around it. This is not going to be a feel-good episode. This is the episode where people fall off, old habits crack, your environment starts to resist you because you are no longer easy to predict or control. Stay till the end and you will leave with a 3-phase blueprint for forcing your external reality to catch up to the person your mind has already become.
Here's what no one tells you about self-improvement. The hardest part is not changing your mind. You've already done that. The hardest part is holding that new mind while your old life tries to drag you back. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. The stress your brain feels when your beliefs and your reality don't match. In human language, it looks like this. You now believe you deserve respect, but you're still surrounded by people who are casual with your heart. You now believe you're capable of more, but your daily routine still looks like survival mode. You now believe you can reinvent yourself, but your environment keeps reminding you of every version you used to be. That tension is not a sign you're failing. It is a sign your new identity is beginning to pressure your reality. Most people break here. They lower their identity to match their environment. Phase 1 is where you do the opposite. You hold the identity and give your environment time to crack. If your life is going to obey your mind, you need one thing first: an alignment audit. Don't overcomplicate it. Take your journal or the Notes app on your phone and create 4 columns: people, places, habits, Inputs, content, media, conversations. Then ask one brutal question. For each item you list. Does this reinforce the old me? Or the new me? Be specific. That one friend you always end up trauma dumping with at 1 a.m. That Instagram account that makes you feel behind every time you scroll. That job break that was supposed to be temporary 3 years ago. You are not judging yourself. You are mapping your psychological ecosystem. Because identity does not grow in isolation. It grows in an environment that either supports it or suffocates it. Here's the rule of phase 2. Anything that constantly drags you back to the mindset you're healing from will, eventually, have to be reduced, restructured, or released. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But intentionally. Forget the movie montage, where everything changes in 30 seconds. Real transformation is made of micro shifts, repeated until reality gives up and adjusts. Here's how you bend your life. In 3 daily moves. Move 1, one upgraded choice per day. Every day. You ask, what is one thing the future version of me would do differently today? Then you do just that. Say no to one thing you would have said yes to out of guilt. Spend 10 minutes on a skill instead of 10 minutes scrolling. Speak one honest sentence where you would have stayed silent. You're not trying to fix everything. You're proving to your brain over and over, I act like that person now. Move 2, one misaligned thing gets less access. Each day, pick one misaligned element from your audit and give it less of you. Answer slower. Stay shorter. Engage less. You don't need a fight. You just need distance. Move 3, one aligned thing gets more access. Every day. Feed one thing that supports your new identity. A video, book, or podcast that speaks to where you're going. A conversation with someone who treats your growth as normal, not extra. A habit that leaves your nervous system more regulated than before. Micro shifts sound small, but the algorithm of your life rewards consistency, not drama.
When people start saying, you have changed, at some point, if you take this seriously, you will hear it. You have changed. They will not say it when you are people pleasing, over explaining, or abandoning yourself. They will say it when you stop laughing at jokes that cut you open. Stop showing up to places that drain you. Stop responding instantly to messages that cost you peace. In that moment, your old self will panic. I'm losing them. Your new self must calmly respond. If the only version of me you can love is the version I'm healing from, then yes, you are losing me. You are not obliged to stay recognizable to people who only recognize you when you were abandoning yourself. Now, turning dark psychology into light architecture. Everything you have learned about dark psychology in this series from 1st to this 15th, anchors, patterns, identity, triggers, hooks, and all now be used to build, not just to defend. You can anchor your mornings to calm and clarify instead of chaos. You can design hooks in your own day that pull you into good behavior. A favorite song, a specific desk setup, a reward after focus. You can use social proof, not to feel inferior, but to stay close to people living in the direction you want to go. This is where you stop asking, how do I stop being controlled? And start asking, how do I design a life where my best self is the path of last or least resistance? Now the life obeys mind declaration. Right now, whether you feel ready or not, you are at the point in the story where your mind is ahead of your life because of the past lessons from 1 to 14 and this 15. That's okay. It just means you are in the gap between decision and evidence. So here is the declaration you need in that gap. Write it. Write it in a white paper with dark black ink, maybe gel. Say it. Save it. From this moment on, my life is catching up to my mind, not the other way around. Not my mind chasing the life I hate. My life adapting to the mind I am building. Every time you are tempted to collapse back into old patterns, you repeat, I am in the catch-up phase. Discomfort is proof the upgrade is real. And what comes next? If you are still watching this, you are not just collecting information. You are, whether you admit it or not, rehearsing your rebirth. So here is your challenge if you want this episode to rewrite something real. First, in the comments, complete this. One thing in my current life that only exists because of my old identity is dash 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 dash. And I am going to give it less access by dash 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 dash. Then add. Second, then add. One micro shift my future self wants me to make today is fill up. Put it in words. Turn your psychology into instructions to your mind. If you are ready for what comes next, where this series moves fully into construction mode and you start using everything you have learned to build work, love, and routines that I feel like the person you are becoming. Hit subscribe, turn on all notifications, stay with this. Because in the next part, you won't just be protecting your mind from the world. You will be using your mind to create a world where the world you would never have believed they were allowed to live. You have studied their texts. You have broken their scripts. You have rewritten your identity. In the next video is where you decide, I'm done waiting for my life to change me. From here on, I'm the one changing my life. You now understand the micro shifts required to bend reality. But there is a trap here. The moment you start claiming this new identity, your subconscious will try to self-sabotage to return to the comfort of the familiar. There is one specific fundamental mistake you are likely making every single day that instantly shatters this alignment. If you don't fix this immediately, your firewall means nothing. Here is the number one error you must eliminate today. Have you noticed something strange? You have watched hours of content about mindset, trauma, dark psychology, rewiring your identity. You understand more than most people around you. And yet, if you are honest, there are still whole parts of your day that feel automatic. You wake up, pick up your phone, repeat the same arguments, scroll the same feeds, feel the same emptiness at night, as if some invisible script is still running in the background. This part is where that script gets exposed, because this is the episode where you stop being a self-aware puppet and become what almost nobody is, a person who does not live on autopilot anymore. Stay till the end, and you will live with a three switch system that you can flip any day, anytime, to pull your life out of unconscious repetition and back into conscious control.
You've been sold a lie. By self-improvement culture. The lie says, one day, you'll wake up different. Everything will click. You'll never fall back again. Reality is far messier. You do not become a new person in one day. You become a new person in thousands of tiny, almost invisible moments. When you notice you're about to repeat an old pattern, and you quietly choose differently. Autopilot is the opposite of that. Autopilot says, I'll deal with it later. This is just who I am. I already know this. Today. This part is about removing the phrase, I already know this, and replacing it with, but am I doing it in this exact moment? Here's the first switch. To snap yourself out of autopilot. At least once a day. You are going to stop. Look at what you're doing. And ask. Right now. What version of me am I rehearsing? Be painfully specific. When you answer a text instantly from someone who has shown you they don't respect you, you're rehearsing the always available one. When you scroll for an hour, instead of doing the one thing you promised yourself, you're rehearsing the self-betraying one. When you laugh at a joke that cuts you down, just to keep the vibe light, you're rehearsing the please don't leave me one. You are never just doing something. You are always rehearsing a version of yourself. Autopilot is what happens when you don't ask which one. Switch one is brutal because it gives you a choice. Once you see the version you're rehearsing, you are free to pick a different line. And that is where control returns. The second switch is a weapon against the most dangerous enemy you have. Momentum. Not the good kind. The unconscious kind. The kind that pulls you from one numbing habit to another until the day is gone. To fight that, you don't need a 30-day challenge. You need 60 seconds. Here is the rule. Whenever you catch yourself doing something on autopilot that doesn't serve the person you're becoming, you hit a 60-second pattern break. That means put the phone face down. Stand up. Drink water. Step outside. Change rooms. And during those 60 seconds, you ask 3 questions. 1. What was I about to do next? 2. How would I feel after doing it? 3. Is there something I could do instead that would leave me feeling proud? 10 minutes from now. Examples. You're about to reopen old chats with someone toxic. Pattern break. 60 seconds. You realize you will feel empty after. You choose to text a safe friend instead. Or journal what you wanted to say. You're about to snack mindlessly. Out of stress. Pattern break. 60 seconds. You realize you're not hungry. You're anxious. You choose a 5-minute walk. Or a brain dump instead. This is how autopilot dies. Not with one huge decision, but with 1,000 tiny interruptions your old self never made. The third switch is where your calendar starts to reflect the mind you've built. Remember those 3 lives you're always living. 1. The life you're actually in. 2. The life your fear wants to keep. 3. The life your future self is asking for. Autopilot belongs to the first 2. To move into the third, you need to change where your time goes. Here's the exercise. Open your calendar, or mentally replay your last 7 days, and categorize everything into 3 labels. F. Future self-aligned. S. Survival only. D. Destructive/draining. Be honest. Sleep, food, work to pay the bills. S. Chaos texting, doom scrolling. Reopening old wounds at 1 a.m. D. Skill building, real rest. Uncomfortable but healthy conversations. Therapy, journaling, deep focus work. F. Now ask. What is the minimum amount of F my future self needs each week for my life to start obeying my mind? Not perfection. Minimum. Maybe it's 3 focused work blocks, 2 honest conversations, 2 therapy/journaling/reflection sessions, 1 stretch where you do something the old you would be too scared to try. Then you literally schedule them. Autopilot collapses when your calendar stops being a museum of your old self and starts being a training ground for your new one. If you do this consistently, don't expect applause. Expect resistance. From outside and inside. Some people will feel offended that you are no longer as accessible. Some environments will feel off because you're no longer matching their chaos. Your own nervous system will scream that you are unsafe every time you choose a future self-action over an autopilot comfort. That is not a sign to go back. That is proof you are no longer participating in the old system. Imagine a puppet cutting its strings and then feeling the terror of standing alone. That's you. The shaking, the confusion, the "who am I without this pattern" feeling is not failure. It is withdrawal from a life you had outgrown. If you're not careful, you'll turn this whole series into another way to attack yourself. I should be further. I wasted so much time. I'm still not doing enough. So here's your new definition of productive. You had a productive day. If you noticed at least one autopilot pattern, interrupted it once, chose one action, your future self would thank you for. That's it. Not if you answered every message. Not if you pleased everyone. Not if you fixed my whole life in 24 hours. Your brain learns from repetition and reward. If you only ever reward massive outcomes, you will almost never feel successful. If you start rewarding micro-interruptions of autopilot behavior, you will train your mind to love the process of changing your life, not just the fantasy of a fully changed life.
If this part hit you in the quiet places you have been ignoring, good. It means you are exactly where you need to be. Aware enough to see the script and powerful enough to stop reading your old lines. Here is your challenge. Do not skip this. First one, in the comments complete this. The autopilot pattern I catch myself in the most is ... You may fill it up. And my 60-second pattern break will be dot 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 dot. That you have to fill up. And second, add one more line. Tomorrow I will rehearse the version of me who dot dot dot. That is a portion you have to fill. Make it real. Make it specific. If you are ready for the next evolution of this series, where we go from inner transformation to outer impact using these psychological tools to change your money, work, and influence, hit subscribe, turn on all notifications, and stay with this. Because from the next part onward, we are not just talking about how they controlled you or how you took your mind back. We are talking about how a person who is no longer on autopilot starts to move through the world in a way that quietly bends conversations, rooms, and opportunities toward a life that finally matches their upgraded mind. You are not behind, you are awake. And from this moment forward, every time you catch yourself drifting, remember this one line: I am not a passenger in this life. I am the one touching the controls. Fixing that daily mistake plugs the biggest in your ship, the biggest hole in your ship. But power requires fuel, and your most valuable currency is not your money, it is your attention. To maintain the reality overdrive we are building, you cannot afford to leak energy to low value people, dead end projects, or toxic environments. We must construct three pillars: attention, access, and atmosphere. Here is the protocol to developing absolutely untouchable energy. Now you have protected your mind. You have rewritten your identity. You have started bending your life towards your future self. Now the previous parties were something deeper shifts. And this part also shifts something deeper. Because even with all this awareness, you might still feel it. You walk into certain rooms and your energy drops. You talk to certain people and your confidence leaks. You scroll for just 5 minutes and somehow your entire mood is gone. It is like your power is wireless and the world keeps finding ways to drain your battery. This part 17 is where that stops. Stay until the end and you will learn a three-part framework to make your energy as protected and intentional as your mind. So you don't just think like a new person. You move through the world like someone whose energy is no longer available for cheap success. Follow me.
Here's a hard truth. Nobody put in the self-help brochures. You can have the right mindset, the right affirmations, the right habits on paper, and still stay stuck. If your energy is available to everyone, at any time, for free. Energy is not just vibes. It's your attention, your emotional bandwidth, your capacity to care, focus, and act. In last year, the world is designed to harvest attention and emotion at scale. That means if you don't put a price on your energy, someone else will treat it like a discount bin. Part 17 is about becoming the kind of person whose energy feels expensive, not because you're cold, but because you're conscious. The first pillar of untouchable energy is your attention. Your life is not built from hours. It's built from where your attention sits. Inside those hours. Right now. Ask yourself, if someone watched a replay of my last 7 days, where would they say my attention mostly lived? In other people's drama? In endless scrolling? In imaginary arguments? Or in building, learning, resting, creating? You don't need shame. You need metrics. For the next 24 hours. Pretend you are running a private experiment. Every couple of hours, pause and write down just 2 things. 1. What am I paying attention to right now? 2. Is this building me or draining me? No judgment. Just data. By the end of the day, you will see the pattern. Your energy is not random. It is going exactly where your attention has been trained to go. Untouchable energy starts when you stop saying, I don't know where the day went, and start saying, I chose where my attention went. And now I'm choosing again. The second pillar is access. This is where most people bleed out. You teach people how to treat your energy by the speed, tone, and depth of your responses. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Who gets the fastest version of my attention? 2. Who gets the calmest version of my attention? 3. Who gets the leftover version of my attention? If strangers, notifications, and energy-draining people get your fastest responses, while your own goals, body, and rest get only what's left. Your energy is inverted. So you start making small but powerful adjustments. You remove instant reply as your default setting. You let calls go unanswered when you're not in the space to talk. You stop explaining every boundary like a crime scene report. You're sending one message to the world and to yourself. My energy is not public property. This doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you accurate about how much of you there is to go around. The third pillar is your atmosphere. The background noise that quietly programs your mood, even when you're not paying attention. Atmosphere is the kind of content playing while you cook or clean, the lighting and clutter in the room you spend most time in, the voices you hear first thing in the morning and right before you sleep. Ask one question. Is my atmosphere calming my nervous system or keeping it on edge? You have more control than you think. You can change the first voice you hear in the morning, from random social media to something that speaks to your future. You can clear one small area of your room or desk, so your brain has at least one place that looks like clarity. You can make a rule that the last 15 minutes of your day belong to you, not to the world. Your energy becomes untouchable, not just because of what you avoid, but because of what you surround it with, on purpose. Now, let's turn this into something practical. You've heard of a money budget. Part 17 introduces an energy budget. Every morning, instead of asking, what do I have to do today? You ask, what do I have energy for today? And where do I want that energy to go? Imagine you have 10 units of energy. On a normal day, you might choose 3 units for your work, 2 units for relationships, 2 units for your body and rest, 2 units for your future, skills, planning, creativity, 1 unit for randomness/life happens. If something unexpected demands 5 units of energy. An argument, a crisis, a drama spiral. You don't just let it happen. You ask, if I give this 5, what will have to be reduced today? That question alone will save you from pouring premium energy into situations that do not deserve front row priority. You are not a limitless battery. Treat your energy like something you are responsible for managing, not something everyone else is entitled to. Sometimes you need to protect your energy, but the words freeze in your throat. So here are 3 simple scripts you can adapt for real life. Script 1: when you can't take a call. I can't talk properly right now. Let's speak when I can give you my full attention. You're not making excuses. You're protecting your bandwidth. So the call, when it happens, is actually meaningful. Script 2: when a conversation is draining you. I'm starting to feel drained by this topic. Can we pause it here? If they push, you repeat once. If they still push, you exit. Your energy is not up for debate. Script 3: when you need time to respond. I don't want to answer this on impulse. Give me some time to think, and I'll get back to you. This script does 2 things. It buys you space from emotional hijack. It trains people to respect that your responses are considered, not automatic. The more you use these lines, the more your nervous system learns. We are allowed to protect our energy without collapsing into guilt. When you start living like this, you will notice 3 big shifts. Shift 1: low effort chaos loses access. People who were used to you being emotionally available 24/7 will either step up or step away. Either way, your energy wins. Shift 2: your work gains depth. Because your attention is no longer shredded, you start dropping into deeper focus. You do fewer things, but you do them with an intensity and clarity that autopilot could never reach. Shift 3: your presence becomes a filter. When your energy is steady, instead of frantic, you begin to repel people and situations that rely on you being confused, guilty, or exhausted. They may call you distant, different, not like before. But the ones meant for this season will call you something else. Grounded, calm, safe. In a world desperate for your attention, being a person with controlled, intentional energy is rare and incredibly powerful. If part 17 made you see exactly where your energy leaks have been hiding, you are already changing. Because awareness plus intention is the beginning of a new pattern. Here is your challenge to make this real. 1. In the comments, complete this. My biggest energy leak right now is dash. And this week I will protect it by dash. 2. Then add one more line. From today, my energy is no longer dash. Maybe it's free, or always on call, or available to anyone who demands it. Write it like a boundary your future self will be proud of. If you're ready for where this series goes next. From inner protection to outer creation, influence, and building a life that matches this new energy. Hit subscribe, turn on all notifications, and stay with this journey. Because the next episodes are about taking this untouchable energy and plugging it into your money decisions, your purpose and work. The kind of relationships that feel like oxygen, not obligations. You've taken your mind back. You're taking your life back. Part 17 is your reminder that from this moment forward, you are not just trying to heal. You are a person whose energy, attention, and presence are finally being treated like the rare, powerful resources they always were.
Now you have your energy back. The natural temptation right now, especially in our modern hyper-connected world, is to announce your transformation, to post about it, to tell everyone how much you have changed. Do not do this. True power is built in the dark. Performing your glowing glow online is a sign of insecurity, not authority. Shift your proof from words to silent patterns. It is time to execute this silent year and learn the art of winning quietly. Now you have learned how they control you. You have learned how you control yourself. You have built firewalls, revived your identity, protected your energy, and stopped living on autopilot. But there is one more level almost nobody talks about. What happens when you finally become powerful and you don't announce it to anyone? No revenge posts, no watch me speeches, no dramatic exits, just quiet moves, calm decisions, and a life that starts winning in ways the old version of you would never have believed. This part 18 is where you learn the psychology of winning quietly, how to move so silently. Manipulators lose track of you. How to build success without fueling the people who secretly want to see you fail. How to become the kind of person whose results make the noise, not their ego. Stay till the end and you will leave with a 3-rule playbook for a life that grows louder even as you become more and more silent. Follow me.
The internet loves loud transformations. The big announcement. The new me post. The dramatic I cut everyone off speech. These moments get clicks, comments, temporary validation. But psychologically, they carry a trap. When you make your transformation a performance, your brain starts to chase the reaction instead of the reality. You become the person who talks about healing more than they actually do it. The person who posts about boundaries while still letting the same people walk through their life. The person who is addicted to the image of growth instead of the quiet grind of it. Winning quietly removes the audience. It replaces "look at me changing" with "look at my life changing," even if nobody claps. The first rule of winning quietly is brutally simple. Stop narrating what you haven't built yet. Your brain cannot tell the difference between talking about a thing and doing it, when both give you the same dopamine hit. So when you announce, "I'm cutting everyone toxic off. I'm about to change my whole life. Watch what I do in 2026." You get a rush. You feel powerful. You feel seen. But then, when it's time to actually say no, wake up early, apply for that job, launch that project, leave that relationship, you've already spent some of the energy on the performance. Quiet winners reverse this. They adopt a new rule. I do not speak in detail about the transformation I have not consistently lived. Instead of posting every intention, they write it privately. Plan it quietly. Execute it repeatedly. And when people finally notice and say, "You've changed," it's not because you announced it. It's because their reality has no choice but to admit it. The second rule is to shift your proof from words to patterns. Most people use language to convince others they've changed. I'm done with toxic relationships. I know my worth now. I'm serious this time. But people who actually study psychology, by now, know one thing. The brain believes patterns, not promises. So if you want to win quietly, start measuring yourself by patterns only. Not, did I feel motivated today? But, did I repeat the future self choice I promised myself yesterday? Patterns like how you respond to red flags, how you act when you're tired, how often you go back to what broke you. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to convince them. You've grown. You simply let your new patterns contradict their expectations until their old image of you can no longer survive. That is quiet power. Not, I'll show you. Just keep watching my patterns if you want to know who I am now. The third rule of winning quietly is this: distance is louder than confrontation. You don't need to send a 10-paragraph message explaining why someone lost access to you. You don't need a dramatic "I'm done" moment to make it real. You just stop initiating. Stop oversharing. Stop emotionally investing. Where there is no safety, you become busy. Not as a fake excuse, but because your energy is going into your own life, not into managing theirs. Manipulators love emotional explosions, long arguments, deep explanations, big scenes. Why? Because as long as you are loud, you are still engaged. Quiet winners deny them that engagement. They exit the stage without announcing the closing act. One day the manipulator turns around, and you're simply not there. No speech. No drama. Just absence. And absence is a language they cannot argue with. Winning quietly often feels wrong at first, because your old self is used to defending every choice, over-explaining every boundary, trying to control how others see you. So the silence will feel uncomfortable. You will want to correct their misunderstandings. Post something to set the record straight. Send one more message to show you're not the villain. But here is the shift. Part 18 is offering you. You no longer live for your reputation in the minds of people who never tried to understand you. You live for your reality. Your nervous system knows the truth. Your future self knows the truth. Other people's story about you is background noise. Real power is when you stop spending energy trying to edit other people's narrative and use that energy to write your own. Imagine this. You decide that the next 12 months of your life will be your silent year. Not silent as in posting nothing, speaking to no one. Silent as in, You stop announcing every internal shift. You stop broadcasting every small win. You stop asking for external permission to become who you already know you need to be. Instead, you set 3 silent year goals. 1. One internal goal. Mental health, identity, emotional regulation. 2. One external goal. Money, career, living situation. 3. One relational goal. Friendships, love, community. And you make a promise. I will talk less about these goals and work more on them than I have in any year before. You document privately. You track ruthlessly. But you let your life announce the results when they're real. By the end of a silent year, 2 things happen. The right people will feel like you came out of nowhere. The wrong people will feel like they lost access without knowing when it happened. Both are signs that you won quietly and correctly. As your life starts reflecting the internal upgrades, more peace, better money moves, healthier relationships, a calmer mind, you'll face another test. How will you handle success? Old you might have wanted to flaunt it, prove people wrong, subtly or not so subtly, flex on those who doubted you. Quiet winners handle it differently. They celebrate deeply, but in small circles that are safe. Share wins without using them as weapons. Remember that today's success doesn't make them a god, and tomorrow's failure doesn't make them trash, because their identity is no longer hooked to reaction. It is anchored in who they are when nobody is watching. That is the kind of success that lasts, not the loud spike of "look at me now," but the steady rise of "I'm building something real," whether you see it or not. If Part 18 quietly shook something in you, if you suddenly saw how much of your energy goes into being seen changing instead of actually changing, that is your invitation to enter your quiet era. Here is your challenge to make this real. 1. In the comments, complete this. One thing I will stop narrating and start quietly building is dash. 2. Add one more line. My silent year promise to myself is dash. Make it specific. Make it real. If you're ready for where this series goes next, where we talk about using your new, quiet power to build money, love, purpose, and impact on your own terms. Hit subscribe. Turn on all notifications. And stay with this journey, because the episodes ahead move beyond survival and self-protection into something rarer. A life designed in such a way that you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You will be busy living it. You've seen how they control. You've seen how you awaken. You've learned how to protect, to rewrite, to move differently. Part 18 is your pivot point. From this moment on, you are not the person who loudly promises a different life. You are the person who quietly builds it, until one day, your existence itself is the only proof anyone needs.
By operating in silence, You create a vacuum. People notice the distance. And when you finally choose to step back into the light, you must arrive with a presence that commands the room instantly. We are going to rewire your communication, ownership, directness, self aware language. When you master these three pillars, presence, clarity, and consequences, you don't chase opportunities. People begin to orbit you. Here is how you become completely unignorable. There is a version of you that people can't ignore. Not because you are loud, not because you are dramatic, not because you beg for attention, but because your presence, your standards, and your results are so aligned that rooms feel different when you walk in. You are not there yet. Right now, there are still places where you feel invisible, replaceable, easy to overlook. In this part 19 is where that starts to die. This is not about becoming famous. This is about becoming unignorable in your own life, in your own story, and eventually in any room you choose to step into. Stay till the end, and you will leave with the three-pillar blueprint for how to move, speak, and act in a way that the world is psychologically wired not to dismiss. Follow me.
The first thing that makes someone unignorable is not their looks, their money, or their status. It's their presence. Presence is what happens when your body, mind, and attention are in the same place at the same time. Most people are never really there. They're half in the room, half inside their phone, half listening, half replaying old conversations, half here, half in a future fantasy where everything is finally different. The brain is wired to notice pattern interrupts. Anything that looks or feels different from the background noise. So when you put your phone away, make full eye contact, listen without rushing to talk, breathe calmly instead of fidgeting, you instantly become a pattern interrupt. In a world addicted to distraction, you don't have to perform. You just have to arrive. Unignorable people are not always the loudest. They are the most present. Presence gets you noticed. Clarity makes you remembered. You cannot be unignorable if nobody knows what you actually stand for. Think of the people you respect most. You could probably finish this sentence for them. They are the kind of person who doesn't gossip, who always keeps their word, who says what everyone else is scared to say. Now answer it for yourself, honestly. Right now. I am the kind of person who if your brain goes blank, or if the answers are vague, nice, helpful, tries their best. That's not identity. That's blur. And blur is easy to ignore. To become unignorable, you need sharp edges. Not cruelty. Clarity. So choose 3 things you want to be non-negotiably known for. Examples. I am the kind of person who tells the truth gently, even when it's uncomfortable. I am the kind of person who respects my own time and other people's. I am the kind of person who does what I say more often than I just talk about it. From today, you let these 3 lines be your internal script. Not for show. For self-direction. The more your actions repeat them, the more other people's brains file you under. Oh, that's who they are. And once your identity is clear, you stop being forgettable background and start being a reference point. Here is the part almost everyone skips. Unignorable people are not just defined by what they give. They are defined by what happens when they are mishandled. Right now, if someone cancels on you 5 times in a row, flirts with your boundaries, treats your time and feelings casually, what happens? Do they lose access? Even a little? Or do they get the same version of you, no matter what they do? If there is no consequence, there is no edge. And if there is no edge, your nervous system may still love them, but their nervous system will not fear losing you. To become unignorable, you do not have to punish or play games. You simply need consistent consequences. That might look like reducing how much you share when someone shows they can't hold it, taking longer to respond to people who only reach out when they need something, saying, "This doesn't work for me," and then actually stepping back, not renegotiating your own boundary every week. The brain pays attention to what has a cost. When your presence feels free, unlimited, always available, people treat it like an app. They can open and close. When your presence has a cost for bad behavior, you become someone they have to consider, not someone they can carelessly consume. Let's pull this together into something you can actually use. Grab your notes and answer these 3 prompts. 1. When I walk into a room, I want people to feel calm, challenged, safe, focused. 2. I want to be known as the person who 3. If someone repeatedly disrespects my time, access to me will change by Be specific. I want people to feel calm and more honest. The person who doesn't pretend not to see what's really going on. Answering slower, seeing them less. And never over-explaining my boundaries again. This exercise isn't about controlling what everyone thinks of you. It's about giving yourself a script to live by. So your mind, energy, and behavior start moving in one direction. Unignorable people are not accidents. They are built through repeated. There is one more layer to being unignorable. How you speak. Most people talk in apologies, disclaimers, rambles. You start sentences with, "Sorry, this might sound stupid but. This is probably nothing, but. I don't know, I'm probably overthinking, but." Your words tell people how much weight to give what you say. So from now on, you practice 3 simple shifts. Shift 1, from apology to ownership. Instead of, "Sorry, this might sound weird but." Say, "Here's what I've noticed." Shift 2, from rambling to direct. Instead of 10 sentences of setup, you lead with the point. "I don't want to continue this type of conversation. I need more notice in future. I felt disrespected when that happened." Shift 3, from self-attack to self-awareness. Instead of, "I'm crazy, but I just feel." Say, "I know this might sound intense, but my body is telling me something is off here." Your voice does not have to be loud. It has to be clean. The cleaner your words, the less room there is for people to pretend they didn't understand you. Here is the paradox of becoming unignorable. The less you need people to validate you, the more seriously they start taking you. When you no longer chase replies, force friendships, beg to be chosen, your entire presence says, I am choosing me. With or without you. The human brain is wired to pay attention to what seems to have its own center of gravity. Things that move, whether we approve or not. When you are constantly orbiting other people, trying to get them to see, validate, and pick you, you feel heavy. But you register as background. When you become your own center, living your routines, building your work, protecting your energy, keeping your word to yourself, you stop orbiting. You become a point. Other people start to orbit around. If part 19 made you see all the ways you've been easy to overlook, easy to access, easy to drain, that awareness alone means you are ready for this next identity. So here is your challenge. 1. In the comments, complete this. From today, I want to be known as the person who dash. 2. Then add one more line. If someone mishandles me repeatedly, the consequence will be dash. Make it concrete. Not revenge. Respect. If you're ready for where this series goes next. Into money, purpose, and using everything you've learned to build a life where your value is clear, even in the marketplace. Hit subscribe. Turn on all notifications. And stay with this journey. Because you are no longer the person who wonders, why does nobody see me? From now on, you are the person who moves so clearly, so consistently, that the only real question is, who is wise enough to recognize who I am, while they still have access? You are not here to be background. You are here to be unignorable. First to yourself, and then to any room you decide to walk into.
Now you have the presence. You have the untouchable energy. You have the firewall. But none of this becomes permanent until you do the one thing most people are too terrified to do. You have to sever the rotting ties to who you used to be. You cannot put a newly engineered high-performance engine into a rusted-out chassis. We are going to execute the brutal list, and we are going to close the portals. It is time to calmly, ruthlessly kill your old life. Now you don't need more motivation. You don't need another quote, another playlist, this is your speech. What you need now is something far more dangerous. You need to become the kind of person who can calmly, quietly kill the parts of your old life that cannot come with you, without drama, without guilt, and without explaining yourself to people who benefited from the weaker version of you. In this part 20, it's not about understanding psychology anymore. It is about execution. If you stay till the end, you will live with the 3-step calm killer protocol. You can use anytime you feel yourself slipping back into habits, people, or environments that your future self has already outgrown. Now follow with me.
By now, you know the patterns. You can see manipulation faster. You can feel your nervous system alarms. You've rewritten identity lines in your mind. So why does your old life still feel alive? Because insight does not demolish structures. It just shines a flashlight on them. Your old life is built from repeated agreements you never updated, unfinished endings you never closed, familiar comforts you still secretly reach for. You broke the spell in your mind, but you never finished the ritual in your reality. This part 20, How to Become a Calm Killer of Your Old Life, is where you learn how to close doors fully, so they stop swinging open. Every time you feel tired, lonely, or nostalgic. You cannot kill what you refuse to name. So step 1 is not pretty, but it is necessary. The brutal list. Grab your notes and write this at the top. What still keeps the old me alive? Then, without censoring, list everything that comes up. It might look like that one chat thread you never delete, the late-night scrolling pattern that always ends in old messages or old photos, the job you hate but use as proof that nothing better is possible, the friend who says you've changed every time you set a boundary, and you keep shrinking to make them comfortable, the city corner, cafe, or street you keep visiting when you're sad, just to feel the ghost of an old love. Be honest. Every item you write down is a portal back into a life you already know is too small for you. You are not judging yourself. You are mapping the exits you keep leaving unlocked. The old you would see that list and try to change everything in one day. The calm killer does not rush. They move with precision. Here is your rule. You do not need to kill every portal at once. You kill one at a time. Fully. Pick one item from your list. Just one. Maybe it's deleting a chat thread that keeps you emotionally hooked. Unfollowing or muting someone whose life you keep comparing yourself to. Removing a saved address, an album, a folder that you use as emotional self-harm, disguised as nostalgia. Then you ask yourself, what is the concrete action that would close this portal in the physical world? And you do it. No ceremony. No goodbye monologue. No last time scroll. Just click, delete, block, archive, rearrange, remove. You will feel grief, panic, and a strange emptiness. That's normal. You are not just deleting data. You are ending access to an identity that used to comfort you, even as it slowly killed your self-respect. The calm kill isn't about rage. It's about mercy for your future. If you only delete, you'll feel hollow. Your nervous system will scream for something familiar. That's why step 3 is replacement. Every time you kill a portal to your old life, you must open a different one to your new life. Ask, what can I put in this space that feeds the person I'm becoming? Examples. If you delete a late-night chat habit, replace that time with a future self ritual. Journaling, reading, listening to something that speaks to your new identity. If you stop going to a place that keeps you stuck in memories, start exploring a new environment that matches the version of you who is actually growing. If you remove a draining person, From daily access. Give that freed up energy to someone who has quietly been safe, kind, and consistent. Or to your own dreams that have been starving for attention. Your brain hates emptiness. If you don't give it a new pattern, it will drag you back to the old one. So every calm kill must be paired with a calm build. Old door closed, new door opened. Over and over. Until your life finally matches your mind. Right now, you are carrying 3 identities at once. 1, the past self, who is scared, triggered, and full of old instincts. 2, the present self, who is learning, trying, failing, getting back up. 3, the future self, who is already living at a level your past self cannot even imagine. Most people spend their entire life negotiating between past and present. This part 20, how to become a calm killer of your old life, is where you choose to side with your future self. Even when past and present are screaming. So next time you feel torn, ask 3 questions. What does my past self want me to do right now? What does my fear-based present self want to do? What would my future self do for me in this moment? Then, as calmly as possible, you act in favor of the future self and grieve whatever that choice costs you, because it will cost you something. Comfort, familiarity, temporary approval. But that is exactly how an old life dies. There is one more trap you need to hear about. It is called almost leaving. Almost leaving is when you almost move on, but keep one chat open. Almost change careers, but keep telling everyone you're about to apply. Almost outgrow a friend group, but still show up every time they call. Almost leaving is more dangerous than not trying at all, because it gives you the illusion of progress without the freedom of it. You stay in the doorway, 1 foot in the new life, 1 foot in the old, and you call it transition. But deep down, you know it's avoidance. The calm killer recognizes almost as a red flag. If you notice you've been almost 4 months, ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I actually close this door? Write the answer. Then ask, is my fear worth my future? There is only one honest answer, and you already know it. There is one more trap you need to hear about. It is called almost leaving. Almost leaving is when you almost move on, but keep one chat open. Almost change careers, but keep telling everyone you're about to apply. Almost outgrow a friend group, but still show up every time they call. Almost leaving is more dangerous than not trying at all, because it gives you the illusion of progress without the freedom of it. You stay in the doorway, 1 foot in the new life, 1 foot in the old, and you call it transition. But deep down, you know it's avoidance. The calm killer recognizes almost as a red flag. If you notice you've been almost 4 months, ask yourself, What am I afraid will happen if I actually close this door? Write the answer. Then ask, is my fear worth my future? There is only one honest answer. And you already know it. If this part 20, how to become a calm killer of your old life, felt like a confrontation with all the doors you've left half open, good. That means you are exactly ready for this stage of your evolution. Here is your challenge. Do not skip it. 1. In the comments, complete this. One portal that still keeps my old life alive is dash. And this week I will calmly close it by dash. 2. Add one more line. To honor my future self, I will replace it with dash. Make it specific. Make it real. If you're ready for where this series goes next, into building money, purpose, and influence from this stronger, calmer identity, hit subscribe, turn on all notifications, and stay with this journey. Because from this point forward, we're not just ending what needed to end. We're consciously constructing a life, an income, and a mission that your past self could never have survived, but your future self was always waiting for. You've tried screaming at your old life. This part 20, how to become a calm killer of your old life, is your reminder that the most powerful way to end it is to quietly, calmly stop feeding it and feed the life that finally deserves all of you.
The portals are closed. The old life is gone. You now possess the architecture to control your mind, protect your energy, and bend your external reality to your exact design. But building power is only the beginning. Sustaining it, scaling it, and weaponizing it. Yes, weaponizing it in the boardrooms, relationships, and markets of the world. That is the final evolution. In Masterclass Part 4, we will cover the elite application of these protocols. We will dive into the highest echelons of influence and absolute psychological leverage. If you survived the first 3 parts, you cannot afford to miss the finale. Hit the subscribe button right now, turn on notifications and secure your place. I will see you in part 4.